Hello and welcome to the Bold Leadership Story Show, where we talk about the experiences shaping exceptional lives. And today I have a gentleman with me by the name of Mike Miller, and we share the same last name, Miller. I'm not sure if we're relatives, probably not. I think Smith and Jones are probably, I think Miller's like third in line there somewhere from what I heard. But Mike is the founder and principal of Wild Horse Labs. And that is a business growth accelerator. He's a business owner, an angel investor, an advisor and board member with several decades of experience in startups, small businesses, angel investing, international business development, and management consulting. And to top that all off, the icing on the cake, Mike was selected this year for inclusion in the 2023 Top 100 in Innovators and Entrepreneurs magazine. Congratulations. Yay. I've had a button. I have the crowd.
Yay, applause.
Yeah. All I can do is I can pull up the website here that has your profile there, your wonderful face, and there's Mike Miller, Top 100 magazine. So congratulations. How did that happen?
Thank you. I received a phone call and they said I've been selected. And I said, please check the phone number. Did you get the right one? And
Okay.
they said, yes, we did. Ha ha. So there I am.
Awesome. So what's been going on with you, Mike? We met in like a month ago at an event in Oceanside that was very exciting. There were lots of entrepreneurs there. There was a lot of activity and energy, and it was very exciting. You've got a lot going on in the startup world.
Yeah, my group is really gathering steam. Um, our big initiative right now, actually there are two. One is starting an accelerator program in Irvine.
Now,
This
when
is
you say,
not
forgive
to,
me, that some of the terms that you might be using, the people that watch this show, they may not know what accelerator is. So,
oh, thank you for asking.
yeah,
An
would you
accelerator
explain that?
is is for companies that are about to launch or who have just launched and they need certain skills, expertise, financial resources, industry connections, and whatever to fill out what the resources they require to grow.
Okay. So, a
So an
startup
accelerator
being, give me an example of a startup.
startup is anybody that has an idea that has developed it to the point where they've tested it in the market, they've received positive results, they can compete, and they need money to launch or grow.
Hmm.
So we have a good network of angels and venture capitalists and what I call alternative financiers that will loan money to startups under certain conditions, of course.
Okay, so would you be
They're all excited.
like one of the things that I relate to with that is Shark Tank. So, would you be one of the sharks?
No, we're all about the entrepreneur. And our attitude is we get what we want after they get what they want. We're their big cheerleader, supporter. Our motto at our company is we provide expertise, we provide connections, we provide financial resources.
Okay.
With those three, you've rounded out your management team and/or your advisory board to really do something special.
So when you say something special, what does that mean?
Let me give you an example. We're now working with a apparel manufacturing company. They're very specialized. They make uniforms for teams, sports teams, and jackets. They are in what I call a perpetual startup mode.
Hmm.
They didn't know what to do to prepare to expand, let alone know what to do.
Okay.
So we were referred to them, and after talking with them, we put down a laundry list. Say, okay, in this order, this is what you need to do, not only to grow but to get investor money. Um, They hadn't incorporated, no trademarks, bootstrapped everything, and their capacity was constrained. Somehow along the way, I'm really admire this founder. He put two daughters through college, and he
Hmm.
bought 60 what I call industrial strength sewing machines. Nothing you'd buy for your house. Number one, they're too heavy to carry in,
He
and they
bought
have all
them,
these
and then
specialized operations.
did he
So
put his own money in on those?
every dollar, his
So he
own
bought
money, no
60,
loans.
like those aren't cheap.
No, they're not. They're asked them. They're between 1,800 and $2,200 each. He's got 60 of them, all paid for.
Wow.
He could sell them on the market for over 100,000 if he wanted to.
Hmm.
He's never taken out a loan. He's never had an investor. Somehow he muscled his way through it the hard way. And I told him, imagine what you could have done if you started sooner. So I said, stop kicking yourself. We're going to take you from here on.
Okay.
Well, get this. What caught our attention is the part about market validation. The Democratic National Convention, let's call them again and say, we want you to do our apparel for the Chicago convention next year. The National Hockey League headquarters in New York City flew a man out to see what he could do. He made them a jersey in 10 minutes himself, high quality, made in the USA, and they immediately gave him the order to make the jerseys for their number one draft pick, which is supposed to be the Michael Jordan of ice hockey. The NBA wants them. Um, NFL and Major League Baseball are next. You get the idea.
Huge.
His
So
his gross margins are insanely good. So he has money for expansion. We might not need to have investors. He can grow out of his own cash flow.
excellent. Well, that's an amazing story. That's
It is. I admire this man. He did the
and
heavy lifting.
and did he have what was it that turned the tide for him? What was that key element that you were able to bring?
Well, actually, it was he turned the tide. He decided, okay, I've got two grown daughters. I'm a young granddad. I want to put something together to leave them. And he
Okay.
didn't have a corporate entity. He didn't have anything. Didn't have trademarks, which are valuable. So that's when he decided, okay, an empty nest. Well, okay, I need to prepare to leave something behind. And he also wants to give back to his community, which he started to do. He wants to create jobs. So we went to Cal Poly Pomona, even though he's from Chicago. 2 weeks ago, we went to Cal Poly Pomona, their apparel college. They have a
Mhm.
factory there, 50 sewing machines. He walked in, he says, I'm moving in. The guy says, what? This is for everybody, not just for you. So he explained to them what they could do together, and they blew their mind. They immediately put me on their advisory board, not because I'm wonderful, but because my connection with the founder. So make sure we don't lose touch. Founder loves it. He's coming back in a couple of weeks. We're going to close some deals on financing, decide what route to take on incorporation, whatever. I already have 3 financiers ready to provide him money. He just has to fill out the application.
Very good. Well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's really, I'm really promoting him because he's the magic. And I got
So
to tell
does he
you,
have is there a website I could pull up?
yes, just Google B Apparel Manufacturing Chicago.
Could you
Is
spell it
in
for me?
honeybee,
BEE.
BEE,
Uh-huh.
apparel, APPAREL, manufacturing, Chicago. He's in Chicago.
.com.
You just Google the name, and the website will pop up.
Okay, so it's oh, there it is. B Manufacturing Inc. Cool. I'm going to share that. My computer will cooperate. There it is. Okay, cool. So I'm going to put that up. So is that the gentleman?
That's the founder. That's, yep, that's Calvin. You see some of his apparel.
Wow, that's impressive. And you said para manufacturer? What does that
Apparel.
mean? Apparel
Apparel. He made,
manufacturer. Okay, okay. I get it now. B apparel manufacturing. That's awesome. So
he's very charismatic and he's also very smart. So he's a perfect entrepreneur.
so what's his exit strategy? What's his plan to create this legacy that he wanted?
His strategy is to create wealth for two reasons that you don't really hear entrepreneurs talk about. Number one, for him and his family.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is to create wealth to give back to train kids to come in and have a job, a high paying job. I already found an organization that will provide training money for this purpose.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to start a nonprofit to put money in for that purpose. So the man is very magnanimous. He really wants to give back.
Excellent. So Mike, how did you get started doing this? I mean, you're helping companies that the kind of the reputation that I've seen of venture capitalists and sometimes even angel investors is kind of ruthless and brutal. It's like, I'm going to invest in you, then you better perform or else. And sometimes they take your company over, they do some things but it seems like you're doing things right. And so I applaud you.
Well, thank you. We don't pillage and plunder. We want to make sure the company's ready. If not, we'll find the additional resources that are required, and then we guide them through the process of
Mm-hmm.
growth. There are different stages. The three basic stages are getting ready, launch, and scale. Calvin has to finish getting ready because what he doesn't have are two main ingredients. He doesn't have money to expand capacity.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? In this case, we hooked him up with an apparel manufacturer in the LA fashion district, which is the biggest apparel industry cluster west of the Mississippi. And he's had a long talk with them because you'll have to train him. He can expand capacity overnight. What will that do? Generate high margin cash flow,
Mm-hmm.
pay for other things he will need to grow the business. Now, you question about investors. That's why you need advice from people who know investors. There are bad players and good players.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in a negotiation. It's all in a term sheet. It's what the entrepreneur is willing to accept. And of course, if the entrepreneur doesn't perform, nobody wins.
Right.
It's not a matter of pillaging and plundering. They call it vulture capital. Vulture capital wants you to scale in a hurry,
Mm.
and they like you to put a lot of money. They'll give you, some of them will install their own CEO because a lot of startups don't have that expertise, which is a good idea. And the whole idea is to grow the stock price so that everybody, when they exit, will make out, cash out, go to the beach. That's the game. You never fall in love with your product or company because you're going to sell it. That's the whole idea.
Mm-hmm.
If you're willing to not have a life for several years and put your nose to the grindstone, that's how you create wealth. A lot of entrepreneurs become angel investors right after that because they understand the journey,
Mm-hmm.
the good, the bad, and the ugly, which I applaud. I think more entrepreneurs should do that.
Okay. Is that how did you get started with this?
Um, like most events in my life, it kind of happened. I was hired away. I was a management consultant for a long time in a national consulting group. And I was introduced to another group that was very different than any advisory group I've ever met. They're ex-public company executive, ex-venture capital managing partners. Most of them are still angel investors.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did they help invest in and grow companies, they helped turn around companies, take them out of bankruptcy, keep them out of bankruptcy. I saw the full gamut of the good, the bad, and the ugly from working with this group. And they have a network you die for. My favorite story, they helped raise $30 million for a startup company that didn't exist. I was peripherally involved. I was sitting on the sidelines watching a journey, and I go, I can't believe this. If I didn't see it, I wouldn't believe it. What they did, they saw this technology and go, wow, this is really great. They turned cellulosic waste, which is agricultural waste or similar byproduct, into ethanol.
Okay.
So some professor in Iowa developed this technology, managed to get some money to build a factory, a little one. So the investor said, okay, we want to see it. So they sent their experts to sit there for 6 months. They came back, they told the investor, you don't invest in this, you're crazy. They got $30 million. And the fun story was they said, okay, we're ready. We need to negotiate how much stock we got. They hadn't incorporated yet.
Oops.
So there's a big scramble. Hey, can you wait a few days? We'll be right back to you. And then since subsequently, they raised another 100 million. That's for factory one. They now have 2 factories.
And so, what's the secret sauce there? I mean, it's like that doesn't just magically happen. What is it that's bringing all that together?
You need understanding of do you have great technology? Do you have a growing market or target markets to enter? Mm-hmm. Can you compete? If you have those 3 magic questions answered, investors and financiers will show up.
Yeah, what I've learned in my experience, I think I mentioned to you, I spent about a year up in Silicon Valley, and I went to probably 100 pitch events and saw probably in the neighborhood of 1,000 pitches, and got to hear the critiques from the investors after each pitch. And what an education. It was incredible.
Oh, yes.
To a T. All of them had 2 things. They'd say this almost every meeting. They'd say, we're looking for a return of our money first, and then a return on our money. And if you can't, and the founders that were presenting that weren't able to communicate that clearly in their presentation were just completely discounted.
I agree. You have to tell a story. It's not about facts and figures only. I ask investors all the time at every level. I said, at what point do you decide to write a check? My favorite answer so far is when my greed overcomes my fear, meaning they've analyzed this thing to death.
Makes sense.
Can't let it go, and they just have to do something.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what makes it fun, I think, is just being in that mental space where it's like, this will work. I know it'll work. And you put the team together with the right people. You've got the right market and the solution to a problem that will sell, make a profit. Everybody wins.
Well, you mentioned about the money. I ask investors all the time. I said, when you're listening to a pitch or looking at a pitch deck or a summary, what are you really looking for? And my favorite answer so far is 4 things: financials, management team.
Okay.
The financials relate to how much do they believe they can scale, because they want 25 to 40% a year growth. Mm-hmm. The management team is, I'm not providing money to a company or a technology. I'm providing money to the team that's going to take this company and do something with it.
So that's
the attitude of the investor.
Right. Yeah. But you need the experience and horsepower to make it happen.
Oh, you do. There are alternative financial resources that a lot of entrepreneurs don't think about. I mentioned the startup financing, which is becoming more and more available.
So what is it? Is that like an SBA loan or no?
No, it's what I call non-bank financing.
So private financing?
Actually, it's from a nonprofit.
Okay.
They obtain money from their fund, and they're expected to deploy it. So one I work with, they'll provide microloans from $300 up to $100,000, and you don't need a company yet. You need to have the personal credit score and ability to make the payments, and still you start and grow your company. Now, that's magic in the United States startup world.
Mm.
A lot of people aren't aware of this. So that is one source. Another one is cash flow financing. If you're a consumer company, you know, when you get orders on the internet, you show this finance company your monthly um, revenue reports,
Hmm.
and you pay them a certain percent of it. So your loan payments on a good month go up, on a bad month go down. I said, what happens if you don't sell anything one month? They don't owe us anything, but interest keeps accruing.
Okay.
So that's another way to finance your way into growth. Investors want to see growth. Once you show them that, then you're ready to take investors.
What's the secret that you've seen to provide, give yourself the best chance of achieving that growth?
What a lot of entrepreneurs need to fully understand completely are the customers within the target markets they wish to sell to,
Hmm.
not the market as a whole. I see in pitches all the time, and you probably have. Oh, we want 0.065% of $1 billion industry the first year. I'll say, hey, that's great. Who are your customers anyway? How are you going to launch? What's your go-to-market strategy? How do
Hmm.
they know you exist? Can you compete? They have to fully understand that because competitors do not want you to be successful. That is very important. Number two, you better understand financials. You don't know how to have to put them together, but you need to understand what they mean, how to read them, how to interpret them for your team members.
Hmm.
Those are two big weaknesses I see more often than not.
I've heard the term build the plane while you're flying it. What does that mean to you?
Build a plane and what?
While you're flying it.
What they mean is, let me give you a investor term. It's a bit
Okay.
more attractive. Bit more attractive. In other words, you don't really want to fly by the seat of your pants. It's called pivot. In other words, one investor says everything is great until your business plan hits the first customer. And then, like the fog of war, all hell breaks loose. Then you pivot. You can't let your ego get in the way of, oh, we decide to do this, it will work. No, it won't. The market says it won't. You have to be ready to be nimble and pivot.
What's the
An
best pivot
investor
you've
look at
seen?
this. Yeah, an investor look at this is if they see an attractive technology and the industry or markets want it, they're
Hmm.
thirsting for it. I'll give you an example in a minute. They'll bet on several ponies in the race, and whichever one pulls ahead of the others, they'll stop investing in the others and put more in that one. They call it emerging growth strategy, which means they don't have a clue either. People think investors are so smart. One out of two companies that get money from investors make it, but they make up for the sins of the others.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's the nature of the game. I remember when I was, I was working with Apple Computer back in the early 2000s when Steve Jobs was still there. And I was able to work with some of their product development groups. And gosh, I'm still conditioned not to talk about this. It's funny. They were so secretive. But I think it's okay now because it's been what, 30 years? Uh,
It's probably public knowledge now.
yeah, probably. Um, but it was interesting because the way they were set up is their groups inside the company were all competing with each other. They had different product lines that they were producing ideas about, and each group had their own hierarchy and whole funding and everything, like little mini companies within the company, and they would have to go to weekly meetings and compete for resource. within the company and if, and they were ruthless. At the end of the year, Steve Jobs would get up on the stage and he'd talk about what maybe one or two projects, but they had sometimes hundreds of things going on at different times. So they had this whole infrastructure creating products and ideas and doing things that nobody knew about, but we're definitely going on. And that's what produced the brilliant solutions that they'd come to market with. It's a process of elimination and numbers. It's all numbers.
Yeah. Competition makes us all better. I met once Apple employee number 30. And okay. I said, your products are successful. They're unbelievable. Your market research must be the best ever. He says, we don't have a market research department. We decide what the market needs and throw it out there. We're not always successful, but we learn so much. It helps us the next step.
Exactly. Takes some guts to do that. Yeah.
Oh, it does.
But and does. Passion. They have a lot of. Just so much passion for what they're doing, and just making things really, really fun and cool was what they were all about. So, Mike, tell us about a little bit about your growing up. Where did you grow up?
Believe it or not, New York State has country areas. I grew up in the country.
Okay. Now, New York State, I had an uncle who had an apple farm up there.
Oh, yeah. They'll grow a lot of apples in New York State.
It was so much fun. We'd go up. I'd go up in the winter with my family, he'd take us out on the tractor on hay rides and through the fields. And he had big barns where they'd keep the apples and put nitrogen or something in there to put them to sleep so they could sell them during the year. It was quite an operation. Beautiful country, incredible.
Remember the apple cider and the cider donuts?
Cider donuts. What are those? That sounds good.
Awesome. They're just awesome. As I said, they're donuts, and they're a food version of cider. I mean, the taste was, if you like cider, you'll love the donuts.
Nice. So what was that? Did you have brothers and sisters growing up?
2 older sisters. Each of them have a master's, as I do. One of them has a PhD. So I guess we came out of the deep end of the gene pool. It was great. I mean, our neighborhood, there are 400 kids in our high school.
Wow, that's tiny. Compared to California, there's thousands, like 3,000.
Yeah, everybody knew everybody, right? And they had busing not for desegregation. They had busing to go out far enough to get enough kids to fill the high school.
All right. Got to bring them in so you can teach them and get the job done.
That's right.
So what's your next project? What are you working on? What's exciting for you?
Well, I've been working with Korean government and Korean businesses for like 12 years.
Yeah, I see from your bio, you've done work. You help design and teach programs for entrepreneurs, and at the Kookmin University.
Kookmin University in Seoul, Korea.
And that's an entrepreneur boot camp.
It is international. I helped them develop the first program they did, and I was a visiting professor for 5 summers. A couple of weeks. What a wonderful experience. Met students from all around the world. And because one of them was from China, I ended up doing the same for them in Guangzhou, southern China. COVID shut all that down. Very sad. However, everybody's back. And, I do know people in the Korean government, universities, businesses, investors. And they said, listen, we're having a big convention in Anaheim in October. Would you like to be involved? I said, sure. Next thing I know, I get a VIP pass. I'm on a panel, and they're calling me every day for one thing or another, which is thrilling. I love it. We want to work with them to set up a accelerator program in Orange County. There's a big concentration of Koreans to help them come over here and launch in America. And I have two partners that can't wait to get started.
You had sent
That's
me an
one project.
email or a URL with that event coming up. It's where in October?
Yes, it's the WKBC.us.
WKB. Say it
C.
again. WKB.
WKBC.us.
Here, we'll pull that up. There it is. Cool. I'll share that, and you can talk about it a little bit. How's that?
Yeah, sure.
So what's going on?
There it is. So the Korean government spends millions for this event. This is the first time in 20 years they've held it outside South Korea.
Okay.
And we're thrilled they want to do this one in Anaheim, California in October.
Oh, nice. That's close by. That's really cool.
Very close by. So what's exciting about it is they're going to have like 3,000 exhibitor members coming and
Mm-hmm.
supporting the exhibitors. And on the flyer I got, they're expecting 40 to 50,000 participants, just people that
Wow.
sign up to attend.
That's amazing. That's wonderful.
And we're on a panel to judge startups. The room holds 250.
Well,
So, and our topic is 5 steps to get ready to enter the U.S. market.
okay. Who do
You get
you
the idea.
who do you anticipate will be attending that?
Several, more than a few Korean government agencies,
Mm-hmm.
more than a few city, state, and federal U.S. government agencies that support startups and small business,
Mm-hmm.
service providers such as lawyers, accountants, industry experts, investors, people like us. So it's going to be quite a party.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we have to go check that out. I'd like to attend that myself. That'd be fun.
I'll send you the information where if you register by September 10th, your $50 fee to attend is waived.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, send
So
it. Thank
feel
you.
free to share that with anybody you want to.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it out. That's great. That's awesome. Wow, our time is about up. I have one more question. You got time for one more question?
Sure.
Uh, I asked this of everybody on the show. So it's taking a look at your whole life and the decisions that you've made, leadership decisions that you've made. What was the boldest leadership decision that you've made, and what were the consequences?
Well, to put it in perspective, I took advantage of opportunities that presented themselves that I thought were attractive and really not prepared for. And that made all the difference. You learn how to be resilient. You learn how to pull together resources and people to support you and each other. And you learn what grit really means.
Hmm. That's an important aspect of I think the people that you work with have that grit.
And by the way, it helps to be eccentric.
What
If
does
you're
that
like
mean?
everybody else, you want to stay like everybody else, this world is not for you.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, you gotta be a little different. A little different. Well, excellent. Mike, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. As great stories. It was fun, went really quick. And like to have you back on again at some time for an update.
Sure, I would like to share lessons of experience. Thank you so much for inviting me. I hope whoever hears this will get some value out of it.
I know they will. It'd be great. Thanks, Mike.
You bet. Have a good one.
You too. Hang on for a
Bye.
sec afterwards.
Okay.